It's not easy for a pair of earphones to still pop up in conversations 10 years after its launch. Today, we're going to check out whether the legendary EX1000 hold up against the test of time. My name is Kenneth and welcome to the Anyhow channel. 2011 was the year that the EX1000 came into existence amidst new technologies. Multiple balanced armature options were the flavor then, but Sony stood its ground and for good reason. Sony chose to defy trends and kept to its guns with a single dynamic driver design. It has included their proprietary liquid crystal polymer diaphragm in the driver design and closed in a magnesium chassis. So as you know, dynamic drivers often take on the characteristics of their chassis. So with it being magnesium, it is extremely rigid and very light as well. This results in a very clear, concise and clean sound, even by today's standards. My unit of the EX1000 has a change of cable due to wear and tear. It is now paired with the Detail Audio Truth cable, but rest assured, the characteristics of the earphone still holds true. As mentioned previously, the chassis is made from magnesium, a rarity in the world of IEMs in the market filled by a sea of plastic. Even those that are built by metal, magnesium is incredibly rare. This is very strong and lightweight. The EX1000 comes with cables in its own connector that features a screw-down locking mechanism. This connector is proprietary to Sony and is not adopted amongst other brands. I can't say much about the original cable as they have been replaced before. I found the fit of these earphones to be excellent. They are very light and they are very comfortable, but there's one thing to note. These earphones are not like those that are designed today. Those more modern designs tend to sit closer to the ear. This doesn't. This actually sticks out quite a bit. It is actually in line with its time, whereby the Ultimate Ear Super 55, 55510s, they were very popular and they tend to have a similar sticking out design. So one thing to know about these earphones also is that you do not get a very good sense of seal for the reason being that these are semi-open earphones. So you do get a bit of external noise leakage into the music when you're playing it. There's good and bads to this design, and it's really up to you to decide whether you like it or not. For me, I do enjoy it. Sound quality of these earphones are very interesting and very unlike other earphones during its time. They are very clear, articulate, and has a very good sense of space. Now, talking about this bass, first and foremost, let's start off with the bass of the earphone. These earphones don't have the usual grunt and thump of bass as represented by its peers, but rather they have a very organic decay. This adds realism to instruments such as double bass, whereby you can sense the resonance around the bass line, and it sounds very realistic, which is what I really like. You don't get the quantity, but you get a lot of layers in terms of detail and separation, which is great. But you know, for people who actually like club music, that sort of thing, I don't think this earphone can actually give you the levels of bass that you expect. It will not sound like a dance club, but it sounds like a very good acoustic live venue. The vocals have a certain kind of finesse that enables the singer to convey emotional impact to the listener. They are able to extract many micro details from the source should they be present. In terms of tonality, these earphones have mids that are extremely nimble. The mids are not overly thick, so it gets a very fast, nimble kind of sound with a lot of finesse built into it as well. Talking about the high frequencies are present but they're not grating. You actually hear very clearly cymbals and hi-hats. For people coming from darker earphones, this might be a little bit problematic for you because you might not be used to the amount of details present in the high frequencies and think that they are actually a bit sibilant. I don't think they are sibilant at all, to be honest with you. They don't exhibit the very obvious sort of sound, and they are actually quite pleasant, but they do have a lot of detail which people coming from these earphones might not be used to. So these earphones, as mentioned previously, are semi-open in design. So with a semi-open design, these earphones actually sound more live. Some people might ask, how do you define live? Actually, what I define live is that this actually sounds like a place, a venue where live music is being played. So it doesn't really sound that much like a club setting, but at a concert hall, it sounds very realistic, very similar to that of a concert hall. So with that said, let's get into the conclusion of these earphones. Let's start off with the good. These earphones are extremely well built. Being made of magnesium, these things are very sturdy and I don't see them breaking apart anytime soon. Another thing I enjoyed about these earphones are really the layered bass. So you don't get the very thumpy kind of club-like bass, but rather a very nice acoustic sort of bass, which is very enjoyable and very detailed. I find these earphones to be very, very articulate, and they have a very technically competent sort of sound. I find them very enjoyable, and overall I think this is a good pair of earphones, and till today actually stand the test of time. And now let's get on with the not so good aspects of this earphone. First and foremost, I'm not a big fan of the proprietary connector. You can't really change cables very easily, and even if you would like to change cables, there is also a third-party cable adapter where you can adapt it to, I think, 2-pin or MMCX. The one that is used here is the MMCX adapter. It works well, but they are quite pricey, and you know, if the cables are gone, it might be hard to procure them at this day and age. So now back to the second thing that I don't find particularly great about these earphones. These earphones are very technically competent. What it means is that, you know, it really can extract many details from the music. But what happens is that it becomes a fatiguing listen after some time. So if you listen to them long, you know, I tend to feel a bit tired listening to this pair of earphones. I don't tend to use them for long listening sessions. For an almost 10-year-old design, this earphone can really hang out with the boys at its price range. Really a testament to Sony's foresight and belief. Instead of following a trend, they managed to craft a legend on its own terms. Although I wish for it to be a bit warmer, I can see how this earphone will attract people for its technical ability. For what it's worth, the EX1000 is a legend.